All right, and we're back with our next segment. Skills and support with Sarah. She's going to talk about transitions, really important topic for kids. So, all right, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about transition times today because we've talked a lot on our show in previous episodes about the importance of kind of keeping a daily schedule, for your family to run smoothly right now. But obviously, sometimes transitions can be quite challenging between those activities throughout the day because kids might not want to switch from something that they're really enjoying doing. So sometimes we can see behaviors like meltdowns or temper tantrums, things that can be quite stressful to try to manage for the child and for caregivers. And so I just had some tips that I wanted to share with you today to run through what might make it a little bit smoother during these transition times. So the first tip is to use visual cues. And so you'll see in a lot of the examples that I share today some ways to make things visual so that your child can kind of have a clear representation of what is expected of them during these transitions. So I'll point those out along the way. And next, again, we've kind of talked about this quite a bit, but I just wanted to reiterate the importance of creating routines. So especially for something that needs to be done on a regular, daily basis, it's really important to have consistency with routines like bedtime, for example. So this is just a cute little chart that I found that incorporates some visual cues. It has like little clip art icons on it, but also can just be hung up, in your child's bedroom or in the bathroom or a place where they would normally see it, so that when it is time to run through this routine, that's an opportunity for you to kind of just refer to the chart rather than it being completely direction only from you. And that might help your kids to feel like they have a little bit more autonomy, but also just when you can refer to the chart, they might be more willing to kind of follow the directions there. And then next is preview. So by this, I mean just kind of previewing at the beginning of the day what the day ahead is going to look like. So I love this chart because it has Velcro, and you can make your own little cards to stick on the Velcro in the order of what the day is going to look like. And so again, this is bringing back the visual component. And also what you could do when you're making these cards for yourself is to take a picture of your child doing these activities. And that might be a fun way for them to get engaged in creating it, but also, when they can see themselves doing it, it just makes it a little bit more personal and fun. So it is important, you'll hear me talk a lot about consistency. It's important to have kind of a consistent time of the day when you're able to preview the day ahead, and as much as you can make that a daily thing for your child. So, maybe in the morning when they're having breakfast could be a good time just to run through it and see if they have any questions about what's going to happen that day. So next tip is to count down. And so this, by this, I mean giving some warnings of the transition time that is going to be coming up. And so you can see here, I kind of made like my own little visual cue here that I'll explain in a second. But what's important with counting down is just giving them like a few different points of notice that the transition is going to be coming. And so you could start with, you have 20 minutes until it's time to switch to our schoolwork today. You have 10 minutes, you have 5 minutes, and then letting them know when it is a transition time. And this not only helps them to like physically prepare for the transition, but also definitely emotionally get ready for that switch that is ahead. And so what's really helpful with this is making sure when you give them those reminders to also include the specifics of what's going to happen at the transition. So like I said, okay, we have 5 minutes until it's time to switch from your video games to your schoolwork today, and just being really specific on what that switch is. And so here, one thing I just wanted to share with you is that you can make it into a visual element if that's really helpful for your child. If you have a clock at home, you could just find some different color stickers or sticky notes and just put like a different color on each of the different time frames ahead of the transition so that you can refer to the clock and say, okay, we're at the green sticker right now, so that means you have 20 minutes left. And again, that just kind of helps them to be able to keep track of it on their own so that they don't have to ask you, how much time do I have? But they can, in between reminders, look at the clock and see for themselves how much time they have. And this one I'm really excited about is adding a soundtrack to transition times. So I think we've all probably heard about the cleanup song. And there's a reason why it's so popular and so well known. It's because it works and it's engaging for kids to, work on those transitions when they can sing a song or hear a song playing during those times. And so these are just some really easy, fun examples of like commonly known tunes that we can kind of change up the lyrics for to fit in with the transition. And these are up on the website, along with some links to YouTube videos that you could use if you're not really one to sing during the transition times. But I would encourage you, if you're open to it, having that time to just sing with your child to make it a little bit more fun too. So you can check those out on our website. And then when you are giving directions about the transition, it's really important to first have your child's full attention. And so some ways that you can get their attention is by first just saying their name before you give any kind of direction. You can do like a nice gentle touch on their shoulder. And then it's really important to have direct eye contact because that helps them to know, okay, like they're serious. This is a direction that I need to listen to. And it just kind of helps them to be engaged in that conversation. So once you have their attention, then it's time to give a really clear and specific direction on what you need from them during the transition. And up on the website is a really great resource for some solid tips on giving good directions. So check that out if you want any ideas for that. And then lastly, when you notice that your child is transitioning well or doing a good job at something, it's really time to praise them and be very excited about what they're doing with them. So using labeled praise means to right away respond, like right when you see the good behavior that you want to continue. And so being really excited and saying something like, I'm so proud of you for cleaning up your toys right when I asked you to today. And that helps them to just kind of be internally motivated. Like when they can see that they're pleasing you, it helps them to feel like typically, I want to keep doing this. So that's a really great way to encourage the behavior. And there is another resource on the website for some specific ideas of how to incorporate labeled praise as well. So those are all of the tips that I wanted to share with you today. So I hope they're helpful during transition times with your child, and check out the blog on our website for the resources I mentioned. But if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to us.
Thanks, Sarah. I love the clock idea. So we've been doing a lot of stuff with timers at our house for my 2-year-old. But then I think it's really cool also because it's like it helps them learn like how to read a clock. And, just like little things that it can, again, that seems to be sort of a theme that's kind of carrying through the show, is that there are things that you can do that are sort of practical and for sort of their, emotional well-being, but then also it can be a chance to kind of teach and be educational and positive for them. And I mean, obviously, we love labeled praise at Small Talk. It's a big piece of like the TFCBT, the trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy model, and teaching parents that is something that we do very regularly. So I think it's really great that you highlighted that, because I think that's just as important a component for making these transitions as anything else that you mentioned today. So thanks again for putting that together.
Of course, yeah, and it can help caregivers feel better when they are acknowledging the positive things too, instead of feeling like we're so focused on the problem. So it can be helpful not only for the child but for caregivers as well to notice those great things.
Right, and you totally see the results too. Like it just, when you shift your brain to like looking at the positives that your kid is doing, they feed off of that. They want more of the positive feedback and positive reinforcement, and then that just yields better behavior and better results for them too, which is great. So
Right.
yeah.